Do you think you can do that? So many of us, we have become such savages. We are unable to have a civil conversation with another human being, especially when that human being challenges what we believe or what we become loyal to, and we cannot respond. We cannot refute. We cannot debunk what they're talking about. So we turn to, you an agent, you a coon, you a fool, you need to get back on your medicine and all this other foolishness. Are you capable of having a decent conversation? But see, I understand that I'm surrounded by savages. They listen to rap music. They wear suits and ties. They try to speak correct English. They look like they might be civilized. But deep down inside, and they express that they are savages. In fact, they are worse than savages. I would not, that's really putting it lightly, because a so-called savage, the only reason why many of persons that we might call savage, the only reason why we might view them as savage is because we really don't know them. And there's a problem, there's a language barrier. We can't communicate properly. But here we are, you have people that speak English just like you do. They have grown up in a common manner just like you. But they've become savage. They've become this monster. It's almost undescribable. So if I can't have a civil conversation, please go to somebody else's page, because I'm not into that cussing people out and getting angry because you disagree and whatever. Because quite frankly, whatever you bring here, if it does not fit into the category of reality, if it cannot pass the criteria of common sense, being rational and logic, you're in the wrong place. Go play Merlin, sorcery and spiritual stuff. You need to go somewhere else. I want to talk about, if you can bear with it, because I know some of y'all are savages. I don't know if you can bear with it. I want to tell you point blank, the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, you might call yourself black or Negro or colored, African Americanist, whatever you call yourself. You have no future in white, pink America. As many of you know, I don't like that word white. Pink or Caucasian, that's the best you're going to get out of me. We have no future living in pink America, Caucasian America. How long have you been here? How long have we been here in this nation? Going on 500 years. And you are still singing, we shall overcome. It's got to the point where black Muslims who was making mockery of Dr. King, look at them Negroes marching down the street. Who has had the biggest march? Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, the very same group of people that was making mockery of Martin Luther King and his marches. How ironic. You're getting no closer to the door, and you are doing yourself a disservice by staying among those who are doing whatever they can to keep you in a subservient position. In fact, you have become insane. You are a Christian. You love Jesus. You pay your taxes. You fought in every war in this country. You become doctors and mayors and president, and you've done everything that you're told that you need to do. And you still are not progressing. You're still not moving forward. That's because this nation was not designed so that the black man, the people of soul in this nation, so that you can grow to your highest potential. I want to give you this as an example. All of you are familiar with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. The Jackson 5 started with Motown Records, right? And they had a wonderful career. Can't say that with you being in America, we have not had a wonderful career. You got Oprah, Michael Jordan, Will Smith, but overall, as a people, we have not had a wonderful career. But Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 had a wonderful career with Berry Gordy and Motown. But it came to the point as Michael and his brothers began to grow and mature, they wanted to do their own songwriting. They wanted to do their own production. They wanted to do their own thing. They're grown men now. But Berry Gordy said, no, not here you're not. We are going to continue to produce you because that's the way we do things at Motown. So when the Motown contract came to an end, then Michael and his brothers, except Jermaine, decided it's time for us to leave Motown. Michael never said he hated Berry Gordy. He didn't say he hated Motown. But I have to leave Motown because Motown is hindering my growth. I can't express myself. So when I tell us that we need to separate from Caucasian people, not segregate, separate. Unless you can overthrow the government and take over the country, of which you can't do, then your next option is to try to find a place to separate and get away from them. Like Michael and his brothers got away from Motown because Motown was hindering them. So when Michael and his brothers left Motown, they continued to have success, and Michael became the world's greatest recording artist. But if Michael stayed with Motown, the chances of that happening, it probably never wouldn't happen. So here you are, the black man in America, brothers and sisters, the people of soul, you doing your damnness to stay with a people, to stay in a country. I understand that we have died in this country and what we've done. And this country, it's just as much as ours as it is there. I understand that concept, but you don't control nothing. You don't run anything. So it makes no difference. You have no say-so in nothing. So yes, you did do this and you did do that, but it don't mean anything. You are hindering your progress. You are doing yourself a disservice because you're living in an environment, you're living in a place that's hindering your potential. And look what it's creating by staying here. The thugs, the ratchets, all these different things that y'all talk about every day that you don't like about black folks. What you think is causing that? What you think that is creating that? When you're living in a country that's hindering hindering you, keeping you from loving yourself, knowing, trying to find yourself, that deny you opportunity, like Motown denied the Jacksons the opportunity to do for themselves. Have nothing to do with hate. All the Jacksons would tell you that they love Berry Gordy. They are happy about what Berry Gordy. It's not about hating white folks. It's not about hating whitey. It's about doing what's best for you so that we can become a thriller like Michael. Do you understand? Then you have those who are doing everything they can to stay with Motown because they scared to go somewhere else. Well, I'm with Motown and blah, blah. Eventually, there were many artists who left Motown because Motown would not let them express themselves in a creative manner. I'm just using that as an example. You're living in a society, you're living in an environment that is hindering your potential. In fact, stopping you from being a human being. That is causing you not to embrace humanity. You are seen, and we are seen through the eyes of many as savages. So when we are shot in the back, nobody cries. Our children are killed. Nobody cares. Nothing but a bunch of savage wild animals that need to be exterminated. This is why we should not integrate. This is why we should not segregate. The real solution to the problems of the so-called Negro in America is separation. You have to get your children, your babies, and yourself. Look at you. You call yourself nigger. You're calling people coons and sambos. You copying. You have the same mentality of the people who oppress you. The same mentality. And some of you claim that you know better. I'm black conscious. I have evolved. But you still call yourself a nigger. You still talking about so-and-so is a coon and an uncle. All this stuff comes from out of racism. This is why you must separate yourself out of this environment. It's difficult to find a place. Ask a woman who has been abused. It's not easy finding a place to get away from an abusive husband, you and your 4 and 5 children, but it has to be done. You can't stay with that abusive person. We are in an abusive relationship. This is an involuntary relationship. This relationship did not start because they love us. Oh, now they claim they love you. Some, I'm married to a black man. I'm married to a black. That don't mean anything. The black man and black woman are still in this subservient slave-like condition. You don't obey not one law that black folks created. Matter of fact, there is no law that black folks created that Caucasian people obey. That's the problem. You need to separate yourself from out of an environment that hinders your potential, because you should be able to build and do your own thing just like they have done. And yeah, let's do that. By the way, this is the Reality's Temple on Earth, and I am that mighty one, your soul brother number 1, Angel Snub number 7. Well, this is what is on my mind. Many of you know that I do not acknowledge God. So I say acknowledge God. So that makes you an atheist? No, it does not make me an atheist. I said I do not acknowledge God. So if I do not acknowledge God, I do not believe, nor do I disbelieve. An atheist says they don't believe in God. So that must mean they might know something about this God. They just don't believe in the God. Unlike myself, I do not acknowledge God. I've never met God. I've never had no interaction with God. It's just like I would have no opinion about a computer. If I never saw a computer, I don't know what it looks like, I can neither believe that a computer exists or disbelieve. I don't have I have no opinion at all. I have no opinion about this God. I can only tell you about what somebody told me about God. Until I meet God or in some kind of manner that I interact with God, then I would tell you. And then I don't have to believe in God. I would tell you what God actually is. When you say that you believe in God, then what you're saying is you really don't know. You really don't. Oh, wow. What am I trying to say here? You believe in God. You don't know if you're talking to a real person or thing or whatever, or you just believe that you are or whatever. See, I don't have to go through all that because I would rather know God than believe. But let us say I'm basing this conversation on belief. Just like many of you, I was introduced to a belief in God when I was a child. And I believed in Jesus Christ. That's what I was taught. I wonder what would I be, what would have happened to me if this teaching wasn't given to me as a child. Then I graduated, I guess you could say. I was converted to Islam. Regardless whether it was Jesus or Allah, I believed so much and I was sincere. I don't care what people talk about. Something happened and made you. I believed in God. And I love the law of God. Thou shalt not commit fornication and adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not lie. I embraced all those things. I wanted to obey God. I was not one of those type of persons talking about I'm backsliding every other week. No, I believe and I had a fear of God. However, the turning point for me, and you will say, that's the reason why you don't believe in God. No, I don't believe in God because I never met God. I had no interaction with God. This was something that I was taught. I've never met God. I believed the people that told me to believe in God. And that's what I've done. I never personally met this God. However, I believe in the God and what the people was telling me about the God and what I was reading myself in these books that you call holy. So then I really needed God. I became incarcerated unjustly. It was not fair. God should know that this is not fair. And at first, I knew God would get me because God knows that I loved him and really believed, and I knew God was going to get me out of this situation. So it was no big deal. And the first year went by, then the second, then the third. I'm like, okay, God, what's going on here? I'm doing time that some murderers didn't have to do. People who have actually killed somebody. Here I am doing this kind of time. God, what are you doing? I got to the point where I was like the Jesus on the cross. And Jesus cried out, my God, why have thou forsaken me? And the years kept going by. And I cried to Jesus, I cried to Allah, I cried to any God of righteousness. And the situation got worse. And then I began to think about not only myself, but we as a people, the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin. We have believed in God ever since chattel slavery. One day it's going to be better. God's going to do this. I heard a preacher say, well, God uses tornadoes and hail and earthquakes. And these are things that happen in nature all the time. Now, when you tell me that God is going to send a lightning bolt to the White House, then I might start believing what you're talking about. But when lightning bolts just keep hitting any kind of place or whatever, that's not telling me that God has anything to do with nothing. Lightning bolts been hitting the earth for millions of years. Blizzards, volcanoes, earthquakes, all this stuff has been going on ever since the earth since men have been on this planet. So God has to do something special to show I am the one behind this. And we never do see the speciality behind the earthquake or the snowstorm or whatever it is that these preachers claim God is going to do. And you want to know something? The descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, we deserve the protection of God. We deserve something to come and help us out of this situation because we are helpless. Our enemies have tanks and all kinds of weapons of mass destruction, and they are liars and thieves, and we're not used to this kind of stuff. We are innocent kind of people. Where is the God to help us out? 10 years pass by, 20, 100, 200, going on 500 years, even longer than that. Where is this God? When is God going to do anything? So my conclusion is either God has abandoned us or God does not and has never existed. What type of God would allow a people like us for generations to continue to be exploited, murdered, raped, used and abused, lied to, and just what would God would do that and just sit around and hundreds of years pass by? And why would you wait on somebody like this? Here we are. If you and I were standing at the bus stop in the cold, and the bus supposed to get at the bus stop at 10 a.m., but the bus do not show up till 11 a.m., you would have a fit, right or wrong. Right or wrong. The bus is an hour late. You standing in the cold. But why you don't have that same attitude with God? How long is this supposed to take? Another 1,000 years? 2,000? 3,000? Thousands of years have already passed. How many of you have believed in this God, lived and died, and you still nothing has happened? And you tell your babies, well, God gonna do this, and you die. Then they tell their children, God gonna, then they die. Ain't nothing changing. Either God does not exist, or God has abandoned you. In fact, I could even go to say that your God is scared of the devil. With all this power, this God is afraid of this devil. God is afraid of the white man. Oh, yeah. That's the bottom line. Your God is afraid of the white man. Your God is afraid of the devil. Now, I believe that. See, I can believe that. But my belief don't really mean nothing because I don't acknowledge. But based on what y'all tell me about God, I believe that your God is scared of the white man and your God is scared of the devil. Which some of y'all say that the devil is the white man. So, hey, you have been abandoned. So if somebody abandons you, then what is your choice? When I got to the point where I felt God abandoned me, my only choice was I had to look to myself. You are going to learn the hard way that you have been abandoned or God does not exist, and you're going to have to look to yourself. And not only did I look to myself, but I had the confidence that I'm going to I don't know how, but I'm going to use my brain and I'm going to get out of this situation. So, I'm talking to you. So apparently, being confident in myself, using my brain, I was able to solve my problem without God. You are going to learn the same lesson, or your children will learn down the line. I hope before it's too late, because time is not going to wait on you to make the right decision. I'm speaking to you because we need to let go of some of these things. Clearly, they are not real. Go into yourself. Use your brain. If you believe in God, God gave you a brain, then use it. Give me a better understanding, because like I always tell you, I'm not a know-it-all, but I have questions. I have the right to inquire, more detail, more clarification. It's not, you should not see inquiry or questioning as a sign of some type of disrespect or anything like that. We are trying to learn, and you cannot learn without asking questions. And of course, now your answers, your response has to make some type of sense. It has to carry some type of credibility. It has to be valid. Don't get angry with people when you can't explain the unexplainable. That's a personal problem. And that's between you and what you believe, because belief does not, a criteria of belief, it does not have to be factual. If it was factual, there would be no need to believe, right? Now, the topic for these few minutes I would like to speak about, and I want you to please feel free to correct me. I would like to be correct. I do not want to be in error. Show me if I'm off base here. We want to talk about is white supremacy. I prefer to say pink supremacy, because in the English language, white means holy, pure, and righteous, and all this type of thing, kosher, clean. And we know that the Caucasian, so-called white people that this supremacy is making reference to, they are not. In fact, if they were holy and righteous and just, they would not have practiced white supremacy to begin with. So just like they like to name people and describe and label people, well, with all I guess you could say respect to them, you're not white. I'm going to call you pink. You're more pink looking than white. Reddish, whatever color type, I don't know, but you're not white, that's for sure. Tubob, Kutakinte called you Tubob. Some of the Native American people call you pale face, but I'm not going to call you white. So they can get angry with me all they want to. But we want to talk about pink supremacy, otherwise known as white supremacy. Is it real? The question also I would like to bring up is, if you acknowledge pink supremacy, does that mean you view yourself as an inferior? Is that in your subconscious mind? Are you saying to yourself, wow, they are supreme over me? So, they are supreme, the pink people. Does that mean that you find yourself or believe that you are an inferior because these people, or these beasts actually, are claiming to be supreme? All right. Now, everything must have a name, correct? Okay, let's follow me here. Everything must have a name. I have a name. You have a name. Your computer is called a computer. It has a name. Your telephone. Everything around us has a name. Even things that actually we can't see, these systems like education. You can't point to an education, but it's a system. It's a system designed to teach and educate children or adults to a skill, or to these things that we need to learn in society in order to survive. But it's not something that you can actually see. We said education. So everything has a name. The racist Caucasian people of America, not only in America, because it did not actually start in America, it began in Europe, but all by themselves, alone, they created something called race. And they put themselves in the pink category. They put others in a yellow category, mongoloid, and I forgot the oids they put us in. Negroid, the various oids. But to make it very simple, the pink race, the black race, yellow race, red race, and so forth. And then they made themselves superior over all of them. All of you who are non-pink, they are supreme over all of you. And since they are supreme over you, they created systems like education that you can't see. They created laws, policies of employment, religion, different systems designed to keep you in an inferior position in the world and in life because they claim to be superior. It does not make any sense that you call yourself superior and you have others running around and they look just as superior as you do. So I'm going to have to take steps to make you look and cause you to be in an inferior position. And when you embrace all these different systems in order to keep dark-skinned people or non-pink people in an inferior position, they call this, not us, since they created race, supreme white or pink supremacy. They created pink supremacy, and pink supremacy is the idea of me being supreme. It is the development of racism or systems designed so that I can show that I am superior over these other persons. You may not like the name pink supremacy, aka white supremacy, but everything must have a name. You can call it whatever you want to. In fact, the same races name you. They call you black. You never called yourself black. They called you black. Colored. They call you African and Negro. And I heard that Jesse Jackson, the civil rights leader, or so-called civil rights leader, he created the label African American, but they put their approval on it. So everything must have a name. And they named this system, this ideology, white pink supremacy. Just like they name you colored and African and Negro and black and all this other stuff. Supreme means better. And so if you're better, that means somebody has to be an inferior. Like you have cleaning products. You have some cleaning products that do a very, very poor job of cleaning up the mess that you're trying to clean. Then you have cleaning products that are superior. They actually get the job done 4 times, 10 times better than another cleaner. So one cleaner is superior over the other. You can use the inferior if you want to. It does get the job done, but not as good as the superior brand. Now, and it will remain superior until proven otherwise. But the purpose of pink supremacy is to make sure you are in a position, the inferior is in a position where they can't look like they have even a chance of being in a position to challenge my superiority. Now, I box a little bit, not like I used to, but back in the day. But I know pound for pound and in the boxing ring, even though Mike Tyson is retired, I know that I would not stand a chance toe-to-toe with a professional boxer, Mike Tyson. No matter how much I try, no matter how much I want to, Mike Tyson is superior to me in that discipline. You're tripping off this word. It's not saying that Mike Tyson is better than me, but in this discipline, he is superior. And no matter how much I train, no matter what I do, I just cannot, in this discipline of boxing, I know I cannot do anything with Mike Tyson. That's just a reality. And we don't like reality. We like delusional, feel-good stories. I can accept the fact that Mike Tyson would beat the hell out of me. However, overall, in a fight, that's different. I would not attempt to go toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson. However, there are other disciplines. There are other forms of fighting that I can use. In fact, I can pull out a gun. You know, they make guns, you know. And you can beat that person So their superiority really don't mean anything, but they are superior. He is superior as a boxer. This is where the problem lies. You don't like somebody calling themselves supreme, but clearly, look at your condition. No matter what you do, you and I, we have been here going on 500 years. You have yet to put yourself in a position where you can match this person that claims to be superior over you. That is not his fault. That's your fault. You want to feel like you're equal to him, but you have not done anything to show that you are. You are still a victim of his in education, economics, entertainment, religion, and so forth. You cannot match him. You cannot do that. But that does not mean you have to stay there. Mike Tyson can knock me out 2 or 3 times, but that don't mean I have to lay on the canvas. That does not mean that I feel he cannot be beaten or I am his inferior. But when you get knocked down, you stay down. You're not getting back up. You don't know what to do. You still want to go toe to toe in the same way that the superior person is in the boxing ring. You cannot do that. You are not as strong as he is. You're not in that position. So you have to change your strategy. You have to change the way you do things. So you have a problem with the simple name white supremacy, pink supremacy, because you feel as though because we are lacking, we have yet to rise to the point where we are not seen as an inferior. That makes you feel bad. When you should not feel bad, change your strategy. But the so-called Negro, the descendants of slaves born in America having dark skin, your problem is you don't like to change strategy. You don't like new things. You want to hold on and go back to the past. Well, in 1930 and 1950, 5,000 years ago in Kemet, you keep going backwards. You refuse to use your mind and try other disciplines and strategy. We shall overcome, still marching, still crying to the same people that keep kicking you in your face. And then you wonder why you are considered an inferior. And they continue to call themselves, and it is still called, whether you like it or not, it is still called white supremacy, because they are superior over you, whether you like it or not, until you prove otherwise. Now, when you prove otherwise, then it would be very clear to all those who observe, you guys are telling a lie. These people, they something that your hands is full. You're not as superior as you believe you are. It natural. Now, it was something I wanted to say. It might come up as I get into this topic. I don't have a lot of time, but I want to bring this to our attention. There are men, and I want to say this: as long as the male gender rules this planet, is the head of household, it is a guarantee that the so-called, or that which is called the human being, we will become extinct, because this male, this man is not in his proper role in life, period. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There are many of you who are believers in religion. You have a character, well, not a character, but you believe in God. And you also believe in a devil. Devil is opposite of God because God is righteousness and truth, and devil is lies, deceit, unrighteousness. Now, do you really believe this? There are many of you who say that the white man, okay, the white man is the devil. So if the white man is the devil, then that means he is opposite of God. Do you understand? So, since the white man is opposite of God, that means he would create a world that is opposite of God. So if God is truth and righteousness, that means that the white man, the pink man, would create a world that is opposite, one that is full of lies and deceit and opposite. So God's view of nature and the white man's view of nature would be opposite of one another. So let's go to the natural world. Many of you don't like me to compare us human beings to animals and life in nature. Where do you think you come from? Did you come from Mars? Did you come from Jupiter? You came from the same place that the bee and the elephant and the flea and all other life forms. You came from out of this planet, this earth, whether you like it or not. If you came from somewhere, some other place, then my argument is null and void, and I am in error as far as you are concerned. But for those of us who are earthlings, you came and you are part of nature. Now you have become unnatural. That's why you don't understand. You have been tricked and you have been manipulated to go outside of nature because you're dealing with a person who is opposite of nature, who is an enemy of nature. They have become unnatural. Now, this is what we find in nature when it comes to the male gender. You don't have to like it. I don't have to like it. Makes no difference what we like. This is how it is in the natural world. In nature, you will find that some male gender creatures, and I really want to direct our attention to mammals because we feed our babies milk. Any life form that feeds their babies milk is considered by science a mammal. Human beings are mammals. Whether you like it or not, I could care less. Let's stop being silly. In nature, a lot of males, you will find them solo. They travel and do things all by themselves. You will find them solo. And they will only interact with a female when she's in heat, get her pregnant, and he goes back doing what he was doing. He's solo. Then you find some males, they are in these family units where they protect the female and her babies, and sometimes they help provide. That's what they do. They don't raise the babies. The females raise the male and the female alone, and she don't have no problem. And the female has never had a problem raising male and female babies for thousands and thousands of years. But now all of a sudden, recently, women, they can't raise a male child alone by herself. All of a sudden, she just got to have. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. I love the family unit. I love the husband and the wife and the children. I love that. But it's not necessary. Family is a survival tactic developed over a period of time that creatures do. Because, just like y'all say, you have a better opportunity, a better chance of raising your babies when there's a male and a female, a husband and a wife, a family unit. That's true. Now, in some cases, the male in nature is used as food, such as in the instance, the black widow spider. The black widow spider, the male will mate with her, then she'll turn around and eat the male. just like the female praying mantis. Well, he's not going to live long anyway. Most times when these insects mate, they don't last long anyway. They die. So in nature, nothing is wasted. So she can turn right around, eat the male, and that male, the nutrition from the body of that male will help develop her eggs. Now in birds, you see something like a wedding. Birds, and we know we're not a bird, but the male and the female bird come together and they mate for life. And it is an equal partnership. There is no head of the household. Unlike in some other family units, especially in mammals, you see that it is the females who really lead the family. The males don't do that. All the information that the family needs contained in the female. You do not see it in the males at all. It is not even, the information is not even handed down to males. In nature, now I know you don't like what I'm saying, but in nature, the male is expendable. The number one important creature or being is the female. In fact, many males die trying to mate and be with females. They will die and they fight to the death for females. Males chase females. So now we live in an unnatural world because now you have women in our world chasing men. You have women in our world trying to be men, and you have men in our world trying to be women. And see, somewhere in time, men develop this jealousy. It's just nature. I can accept it. It don't bother me at all. I can accept my role. If I'm expendable, if the female want to turn around and eat me, so be it. Well, of course, that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, I can handle the reality. But clearly, men in the past, somewhere down the line, became jealous. They decided, I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to become the queen bee. I'm going to become head of household. And ever since, human society turned patriarchal. You have had endless wars, rape, murder, incest, molestation, all kinds of evil. Because see, another problem with the male is males must prove to another male, I'm dominant. It's a man thing. I gotta prove I'm macho. So the men in the United States of America must prove to the Chinese, hey, you can't punk me. I'm the dominant one. So next thing you know, this one is flying a bomb over here. This one flying a bomb over here. I got to show you. They don't know. Males don't know how to talk nothing out. Even here on social media, males will quickly attack you. Violent behavior. And these are your leaders. These are the heads of household. They have a childlike mentality. They don't know how to solve their problems without violence. You don't see, at least many times in the natural world, when it's very clear that this moose is more dominant than the other moose, the fight is over. And this moose go his way, and everybody, I mean, of course, the moose that lost the fight, he's not happy because now he can't mate or whatever. But everybody is alive. But you have sick men, heads of households and heads of government, heads of nations. They have this macho behavior that you find in males, destructive. They keep talking about peace, and that's all they ever do is talk about it. I would rather slap you upside your head. I'd rather spit in your face. That's the mentality. And women follow behind these fools. You follow behind these fools. And the women begin to act like these corrupt men. She's been taken up out of her nature of who she is. Because women, if you look at females in nature, they don't act that way. They care about life because they carry life. Males don't carry life. Males kill each other so they can get an opportunity to create life via the female. I know the male is nothing but a helpmate. The male is the real helpmate to the female. Eve is really the one, not Adam. Adam is the helpmate to Eve. It's a lie. Deceivers have flipped the script. And I know because you're a male, see, you like the unnatural life because that puts males in this dominant beneficiary. You have an advantage. Just like when we live in racism and you have Caucasian pink skin, that gives you an advantage. You really don't want racism to end because you sort of enjoy being the dominant supreme one. And that's what you do. That's the problem. That's why many men don't like what I'm saying, because they like being the head of household and the dominant one. What does it say in some of these marriage vows? It tells the wife, make sure you obey your husband. And your husband is a fool. Look what your husbands have done all over the planet. The planet is a wrecking shop. It's been raped. Your air is poisoned. Your forests are torn down. Animals gone extinct. Women did not do this. Children did not do this. It was men who is the head of households and nations. There are always exceptions to the rule. I am one of them. But the majority have this sick mentality. And this is where we find ourselves. So man has become unnatural because he's not in his proper role that nature gave him. He decided, to hell with nature, I'm going to do something else because I want to be a woman. And some of them have, and they get these operations that actually do turn into women.